my love, my peace. You are my joy, you're my everything. All that I am, all that I'll ever be is a result of who you are to me. My heart's desire is to do your will, to pursue your purpose, your plan fulfilled. My soul's delight is to follow you. My goal, my purpose is your will to do. All that I am, all that I'll ever be is a result of who you are to me. All that I want for people to see is the image of I am in me. Every day I live to see. I thank you, God, because you let it be. The breath I breathe is life to me. Everything you are is what I wanna be. Yeah, yeah. All that I am, all that I'll ever be is a result of who you are to me. All that I want for people to see, yes, is the image of I am in me. All that I want, all that I'll ever be is a result of who you are to me. Yeah. All that I want for people to see, yes, is the image of I am in me. Yeah. Oh, is the image of I am in me. Is the image of I am in me. Yeah, yeah, yeah. Is the image of I am in me. You are, you are, you are, you are.
It's Friday Night Live with Cat Carter. Get ready, set, let's go. Come on. It's Friday night. It's Friday Night Live. It's Friday night. It's Friday night with Cat Carter. It's Friday night. Hey. It's Friday night. It's Friday night. Yeah. It's Friday night with Cat Carter. It's Friday night. It's Friday Night Live. It's Friday night. It's Friday night with Cat Carter. It's Friday night. Hey. It's Friday night. It's Friday Night Live. It's Friday night with Cat Carter. With Cat Carter. With Cat Carter. With Cat Carter. With Cat Carter.
Hey, welcome to Friday Night Live. I am your host, Cat Carter. How is everybody doing this evening? OMG, we made it through another week, and I have been waiting and anticipating for this show. I am just so excited. I have two magnificent, I want to call them maestros. I want to call them just, they're master trombonists. Oh my goodness. I have Howard, Levy, and Alan Goidel. They are in the house, and I have kidnapped them for the entire hour. We're going to be talking about some of their projects. We're going to learn more about the trombone. This is the very first time they are going down in history. This is the first time I've had trombonists on the show. So are y'all ready? You ready? Please welcome to Friday Night Live, Howard Levy and Alan Goidel. Here they are. There's Howard. There's Alan. Hey, guys.
Hello.
How are you guys doing? Oh, my goodness.
Great.
I am so excited. Okay, first, let me put, there it is, slideattack.com. So just to get started, first off, I want to thank you both for, I know that you're busy. Thank you so much for giving up your time and hanging out with us tonight. We are just so excited to hear about your projects and what you do. So to start off, please tell me a little bit about yourselves. Who wants to go first? Hal, you want to go first? Alan,
Sure.
First? Okay.
Well, I've been in New York all my life. I grew up in Long Island, New York, and moved to Manhattan and went to Manhattan School of Music for my undergrad for 4 years, and freelanced for about 8 years, and then went back to school. Went to Lehman College in the Bronx and received my MAT degree, which is a master in the arts in teaching music.
Nice.
And I did that and taught music for a total of 30 years.
Wow.
In the schools.
Yeah.
And taught privately before that, and I'm still teaching privately now. And I've been a freelance musician the entire time. And I've known this guy, Alan Goidel, since high school. We knew each other. We played in a community band back in Long Island when we were just in high school. Went off to college and then reconnected after that and played in a lot of groups together.
Wow. Wonderful. Wonderful. Alan, your turn.
Okay, well, my story is similar because we have similar backgrounds. I was also born and raised on Long Island, New York. And like Howard said, we met when we were in high school. Then when I decided to be a music major in college. I went to the State University of New York at Fredonia. Later on, after freelancing and playing professionally for a while, I ran into a great drummer who had told me about a master's program they had just started at Manhattan School of Music.
Oh, nice.
So I was able to go there, and believe it or not, I was able to get my master's in 2 semesters, which was a great gift.
Yeah, I did mine in 3. I thought that was fast.
Because guys who have been playing professionally, they were able to go through a bit faster than someone who had just gone there straight from undergrad. And always freelanced, and at some point I started teaching. I started in private school, then I moved to public school when I decided to get married and start a family. And I taught there in public school for 29 years.
Nice.
And today I'm still teaching privately and playing and doing the thing that musicians do.
Yeah. Wonderful. All right. So who or what inspired you to start playing the trombone?
That's a good question. Me, I did not pick the trombone. That wasn't my first choice.
Really?
Yeah, I started playing piano when I was a kid because my mother was a piano player. And I think she was pretty accomplished because she used to play a lot of Chopin etudes and whatnot when I was younger. And we always played. She played and we sang and we did that stuff. But I think if I remember correctly, I wanted to play the trumpet. And I think I signed up late. So I was told, well, we have enough trumpet players. And I'm almost 6'4". So as a kid, I think by the time I was in 6th grade, I was close to 6 feet. So they gave me a trombone because I had long arms. And they said, oh, yeah, you're a trombone player.
Oh, okay.
I started playing trombone from that point.
Wow. What about you, Howard?
Well, in some ways similar. I remember, when you get to at least in New York, when you get to the 4th grade, it's usually when instruments are introduced to you. You have a choice to play an instrument. I remember my old elementary school teacher, Mr. Marino. I still remember his name. I wanted to play the trumpet as well. And the reason for that is I remember standing on the corner of the main street in the town that I was in. It was called Grand Avenue. and it was a parade, and a drum and bugle corps went by, and the front row had all these silver trumpets, and the sun was shining off of them, and I was like, oh, that is so cool. I've got to do that. I mean, I was a little kid. I mean, I was just wowed by it. So, we did some kind of play test at school, rhythmical test, and this aptitude test for music. And he said, okay, brass instrument. I said, I want to play the trumpet. He said, okay, you have to rent one because we don't have any here at the school. So I told my parents, and they went to the local music center. We rented a trumpet on a Friday. And I had just been taught how to buzz on the mouthpiece, which is how you produce sound on a brass instrument.
Okay.
The next morning, when the sun came up and my parents were asleep, I picked up the trumpet and started blasting away. I was so excited. And my father, who went to work every day and got up at like 5:30 in the morning to go to work,
my goodness,
came downstairs, took the trumpet from me, and said, that's it. You're done. You can play an instrument, but we're not renting one for you. You have to play whatever they have at school.
Wow.
And so I went back to school, and they gave me a choice between a French horn and a trombone. And now at the time I was a little kid, I didn't know anything. And it's just going to sound chauvinistic, but it's not. I thought in my little boy's mind, girls play the French horn, I'll play the trombone. Now, there are fantastic female brass players everywhere.
Yeah,
they're amazing. They're amazing. And more and more and more. So that really means nothing. But in a little boy's mind at the time, back in the early 1970s, that's where my head was.
Wow. Okay. So you all are founders of the Slide Attack Jazz Quartet.
It's
I'm curious. Quintet. Say it again.
Quintet 5.
Quintet. Who created the quintet, or tell us how it was born?
Well, it was born really from just us playing gigs and hanging out together over decades. So, like we said before, since we knew each other in high school and we reconnected after college, because the music scene is as big as it is, it's small at the same time. So everybody kind of knows everybody. People, if they can't make a gig, they call a friend to sub for them, and you kind of meet everybody eventually. And we reconnected. And I think Howard brought it up. He said, we really should put a 2-trombone group together. And me being who I am, I was like, yeah, a lot of work. I don't know, And he kept mentioning it, and we gradually started talking about it. And I had purchased a bunch of arrangements just to have sessions at my house for guys to come over to play. So when we decided to put this together, that's what we started with. We adapted a whole bunch of the arrangements for 2 trombones, because most of what I had was for saxophone and trumpet, or trombone and saxophone. It wasn't written specifically for 2 trombones. And then we kind of just hung out and we kind of brainstormed to come up with a name that would work for 2 trombone players, because there are a number of groups, and a lot of the names you might think of are already being used someplace else. So basically,
our main inspiration was one of our trombone idols, considered the innovator of the beginning, the master trombonist and modern trombone playing, was J.J. Johnson.
Yeah, he's considered the father of modern.
The father, there's the word.
Yeah,
the father of modern. So he had a group with another trombone player, Kai Winding, and they had a 2-trombone group called J and Kai, or J and K. And they were really popular in the 1950s, and they were a big hit. But it's not a common thing to have usually a jazz quintet would be trumpet and saxophone is probably the most common, and piano bass drums or guitar bass drums. And you'd have those, but we're 2 trombones, piano bass drums, occasionally guitar bass drums.
Okay. So many people have heard of smooth jazz. They've heard of contemporary jazz, Latin jazz, etc. There are different styles. Ellen and I were talking about that a little bit before the show. There are different styles of jazz. What is a jazz quintet, and how is that different from the other styles in jazz?
Well, a jazz quintet is an ensemble. It's not a style.
Okay.
That ensemble can play in a style. There are lots of types of jazz. There's, I mean, we can go back to early jazz. They would call it traditional jazz or trad jazz these days. There's, jazz from the early 1900s and 1920s.
Hmm.
And then there's swing. It's more the 30s into the 40s. There's bebop. There's hard bop, there's contemporary jazz, there's modern jazz. I mean, there's a lot of different types of jazz.
Yeah.
There are different groups. There's small group jazz, like we do, a quintet. You could have a duo, a trio, a quartet, a quintet. And then there are bigger ensembles, and they're commonly called a big band.
A big band. Okay.
Which can have up to 17 players.
Wow.
Yeah, you can have
more than that. Stan Kenton's,
Wow.
Right.
Stan Kenton's group had mellophones, French horns.
Right.
They could be huge. What changed all of that was it became economically unfeasible to support that many musicians touring and playing with such a big group. So if you follow some of the big bands that existed for a long time, many of them got smaller over the years, particularly when you got into, I guess, the late 1990s.
Well, actually, after World War II, it's interesting. I taught a class on this for a while, but jazz history thing. But after World War II, it was very expensive to travel by bus during the war and just after the war, because all of the resources were going towards the war machine, including the rubber for tires. And buses have huge tires, took a lot of rubber, of course, gasoline, oil, all of that. And it became just too expensive. And that was one of the reasons why that started changing. And we went from the swing era into what we call bebop, which were more small groups. And, but big bands still existed through the years, like Al said, and they went right into the 90s and have gotten smaller and smaller. I've played in a band that was called a little big band. So instead of 17, it was like 12 or 11 people. They cut it down. Instead of 4 trumpets, 4 trombones, 5 saxophones, 4 rhythm section players, they'd cut it down to like 2 trumpets, 1 trombone, 3 saxophones, 3 rhythm, something like that.
But they still are big bands around today. They just don't travel and tour like they used to.
Oh, okay. I understand.
Playing in one tomorrow night.
Oh, wow. We gotta talk about that a little bit later, what you're doing. Yeah. Okay. What do you enjoy most about being a trombonist?
For me, it's really just communicating with other musicians and communicating with the audience. And when I play, particularly in a larger group, the trombone is often in the middle part of the harmony and the structure. So I get to feel everything from both sides. I get to feel the foundation. I get to feel the melody on top. So you're surrounded by this beautiful this sound and these harmonies and vibrations. It's just an amazing feeling. When you hear music that you like, as we were talking about before the show, that it relaxes you, it makes you feel centered, it puts you in the right place. That's one of the things that's so great about music. So as a trombone player, you're kind of in the middle of all of that, particularly playing tenor trombone. If I was playing bass trombone, I'd be on the bottom.
Okay.
If I'm a trumpet player, you're on the top. As a trombone player, we're usually in the middle, but we float between all of those registers. So it's an amazing feeling. So it's that. And then the feeling that you get when you're communicating with other musicians and the audience. There's a back and forth. It's just a beautiful thing.
Nice.
Yeah, I feel the same way about all of that. And one of the things from the beginning that I always felt is, for me personally, is the trombone. It's called tenor trombone. There's the main trombone that I play. I do play some bass, but mostly tenor, almost entirely tenor. That is closest for me to the male voice. It's the same register, just like a tenor saxophone or a cello. They're all kind of tenor instruments. They're right. in that middle register that is comfortable. And I don't know, I think maybe somehow I hear it better because I always felt that way.
Yeah.
Although I've known there's some fabulous female trombonists, and obviously their voices, I don't know where the voices are. They could be higher or in the middle or lower, but for me personally, that's it. I can relate to it that way.
Yeah, the trombone does have its own unique sound Well, let's listen to some of it. So, you guys sent me a nice snippet of some of your projects that you do play. The first set we're going to listen to B for BB, Overdrive, and Debop. Want to tell us a little bit about what we're getting ready to hear before we listen to it?
Okay, sure. B for BB was written by Hank Mobley. That's one of the arrangements I was talking about.
Okay.
That I had originally got for different instrumentation, and it's been a favorite every place we play.
Absolutely.
Hank Mobley was a tenor player, one of the great tenor players, very prolific, made a lot of records, recorded with Miles Davis, a whole bunch of people, very well respected, and he just swings. And then the other tune, Overdrive, that's another one of those arrangements. That was written in 1956, I believe.
Wow.
55 or 56. And that was written and recorded by J.J. Johnson, the father of modern jazz trombones, so to speak, And he had a group with a great tenor player by the name of Bobby Jasper, who passed away very young, but a beautiful lyrical player. And they recorded that. I believe it was on Dial JJ5, that record for Columbia. And then the third tune is a piece called Debop. That's a tune that I wrote many, many years ago.
Nice.
I think I wrote it when I was at Manhattan School of Music. And I think it was started out as a project for a class. And then when we put this group together, I just kind of reworked it so that it would fit for us, because it was more choruses originally. I had written this extended thing, so I kind of shortened it. And I'll tell this story. Howard knows what's coming. Interestingly enough, when I wrote it, I couldn't come up with a title.
Oh, wow.
I just couldn't. I wasn't good at titles. I had no idea what to call it. And when we put this group together, it was years and years later. So when I wrote it, I was single. And then years later, I met my wife, woman who's now my wife, and her name is Dina. And she's a singer and a piano player as well. And her nickname was Debop. And I realized after we started playing it that, hey, this really personifies her energy. So that's where the name Debop came from. It's really written for her. But I couldn't come up with a title when I wrote it. I guess I was saving it for her.
For her, yep. That's what it sounds like. All right. Well, let's check it out.
One, two, 1, 2.
You know, I can listen to that music forever. It was just, I was when I was listening to it before the show, I was doing this, and then when I played it during the show, it was like I hadn't heard it, and I was, oh, I love the music. It's almost like, what is the word? Like, not contagious, but like, what's the word? Like, you just can't get enough of it. Like, it's just
Happy
yeah, it's
music.
like infectious. Yeah, like kind of like infectious or something. Beautiful, because I'm not used to. Even though I listen to jazz, I don't normally listen to like quintet jazz. You know, do you understand what I'm saying? So now when I hear it, it's like, whew, it's beautiful, 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 beautiful. Are you all enjoying the music? Are you enjoying our guests, Howard and Ellen? Want to send a shout out to, I see a lot of people in YouTube. Want to say thank you for hanging out with us, and Facebook. And I think I got a few people on Twitch. If you would like a shout out, please say hello to Howard and Alan and let them know that you are here supporting them and hanging out tonight. That's the only way we'll know who you are. All right. So that was beautiful. Beautiful, 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 beautiful. So I come from a family of educators. My mom was an educator and counselor. I have auntie that was an educator. I have another auntie that was in the school system too. And I'm an educator. So that's very dear to my heart. You're both educators. And I wanted to ask you, why do you feel that a music curriculum is important for being part of a student's education? And what inspired you to teach music?
Well, that's a very deep question.
Yeah.
And it's something that music teachers in the schools deal with all the time. I mean, it's part of being a human being. Is music's in our lives. We grow up as little children, hearing music, hearing singing nursery rhymes, singing kids songs. You start doing that in elementary school as well. And you know, there's a fact that certain pathways in the brain are burned to make these musical connections at a very early age, and that if you don't really get that between the ages of 4 and 7 or 4 and 8, that it gets harder as you get older to burn those pathways. So if you grew up with parents that were singing to you and had were singing relatively in tune, and you were exposed to good music, you have a better shot as someone who didn't grow up with that. And we'll just leave it there. So some people say, well, I'm tone deaf, and musical thought out there is no one's really tone deaf. It's just you didn't make those connections early on in life to make, have the synapse jump from one side of your brain to the other to make that connection with your voice, to hear something and be able to sing it back or hear it back. And so in the schools, you're cultivating that, and it starts off with singing and, playing even games, just having fun with it. But it develops later on into playing an instrument or singing in a chorus, and it could be orchestra, band instruments, strings, brass, woodwinds, percussion. And it's really important. And there's a whole general music curriculum as well. And and we can go on and on about this. It's important, and there have been a lot of studies. All the connections between music and the mind, cognitive ability, music and math, all because it is very mathematical.
Yeah.
And when I was in graduate school, I wrote a paper on music and the mind, and it was all about, imagine you're a trumpet player and you're in a band, and it trains the brain in a certain way. You have to read the music on the page. You have to understand the rhythms. You have to know the right notes to play. You have to know the right fingerings. You have to buzz the right note or it won't come out. You have to know if you're in tune, if you're out of tune, if you're too loud, if you're too soft, if you're blending with each other's people, are you following the conductor, and this and more. Yeah. And this happens in a millisecond. So you have this multi-level thinking that has to go on, and it's developing the brain in different ways. They've done studies with musicians listening to music or playing music and non-musicians listening to music, where they show when the musician is listening to music, the entire brain lights up. I mean, it's amazing. and only parts of the brain light up for the person who's a non-musician.
Wow.
Because a musician is listening differently, is listening to all of the details, is a deep, is it like a deeper thinker? Well, they're a deeper listener. They're really listening to all of the components and understanding what's going on and making sense of it. Al, I'm sure it has a lot more to add to that.
Well, I don't know. Basically, what I certainly agree with what Howard's talking about. I think it's important to have music in the curriculum because, like everything else we do in life, the foundation from where we start is so important. If you don't have the right food when you're a child, if you're not in the right environment, those things show up throughout your life, particularly later in life. If you don't have certain things, it makes it more difficult later on, right? So if you're exposed to music at a young age, it's setting up a foundation for you as a human being for the rest of your life. And as Howard mentioned, I think was it Gardner, Herb? I don't know if it was the first name, Gardner, I think, who wrote that book on multiple intelligences.
Right. Yes.
We have visual intelligence, we have auditory intelligence, kinetic intelligence. I think there's about 7 of them. Play music, you're using just about all of them, as Howard mentioned, all the time. It doesn't stop. When you do other things, you use some of them, but music is all the time. So it develops the brain differently than other things, and it's like a more complete picture. And I'd like to add to that the whole world is made up of vibrations. Everything is vibrating. And that's what music is. It's vibrations that create sound. And that's something we feel innately, whether we know it or not. So that being exposed to that at a young age helps to set that up forever. And it opens connections with us as human beings, with the world around us, other people, animals, everything around us in a non-verbal way that's not tangible. As musicians, if we do our job right when we play, when people listen to us, they will feel better when they leave because it kind of realigns all that invisible stuff inside of us that gets out of whack every day from an argument we had or a fender bender or whatever's going on. That stuff, there are all kinds of ways to reset ourselves, and music is a good one. It's one of the best, I think. I mean, of course, I'm biased because I'm a musician. Right. It helps to realign everything. So, and a perfect example of that was my wife and I went to hear some friends of ours play a while back at a club not too far from us. It was a quintet. It was with a valve trombone player and a saxophone player. And actually, I mean, he'd been playing, I don't know if he played trombone. I think he played trombone that night and bass trumpet, I think. And we left feeling amazing, much better than when we walked in the door because everything was done right. They were impeccable. The band was great. Everything was terrific. So it just affects people that way. And to not get that when you're young, it's awful hard to get that when you get older, like everything else, hard to train an old dog, new tricks.
Well, all of that's really important, but even beyond that is we learn different subjects in school, and music is an incredibly important subject. Music throughout history has mirrored what was going on in society through the years, and as classical music developed, we can go way back to the church, to medieval times, to the Gregorian chants and Renaissance music and classical music and everything. It's mirrored society and what's going on. And think about, the protest songs in the 60s during the Vietnam War. And you can go back to Irish music. When there were wars, there were protest songs about the fighting in Ireland. There's been through everywhere you go. I mean, World War II had all the songs and the big bands. And, it's part of our history. It's part of our culture. It's part of world culture. And it's just in my mind, it's just as important a subject as math or social studies or anything. That was a fight that we all, as music teachers, had to really fight incredibly hard through our careers to keep it in the curriculum, to fight for what we wanted. because, we used to say, well, we're at the bottom of the totem pole, maybe under the totem pole. We had to fight and scratch and yell and scream, not really yell and scream, but really fight hard to get what we wanted, not for us, but for the kids,
The students, right?
for our students.
Mm-hmm.
So, the fight goes on.
Yeah.
You could see it with students, even if the rehearsal was first thing in the morning, you could see how it would set up their day, and how for so many kids, it was just a place where they could just relax and express themselves and not feel any real pressure. They didn't have to get the right answer. They just had to be a part of it, because it's also a communal thing. When I think about myself, I think that's why I became a musician, because not knowing it, I connected with people through music. When you play in a band, you're connecting with other people.
Right.
So,
Well, I used to tell parents, like in an open school night,
Mm-hmm.
like your child 10, 20, 30, 40 years from now is not going to remember a math test, but they might remember a concert they played in.
Yep. I agree.
That's and being part of something, like being in sports, being on a team, collaboration, having to listen to everybody and collaborate and make it sound the way it's supposed to sound. You can't just, it's not a bunch of individuals, it's a team effort. It has to be, otherwise it's not going to work.
Wow. What has been the highlight of your career thus far, your music career? It could be a venue. It could be anything.
Well, for me, I guess some of the venues I played, I think I played in so many wonderful old theaters throughout the country, and some beautiful venues in Europe.
Wow.
I remember one in Dusseldorf in particular, but all over the place, really beautiful venues. But I think the real highlight for me is experiencing the appreciation from people listening and making that connection with people and with other musicians. I mean, I can, there's certainly great artists that I played with. I remember playing for Lou Rawls, and my hair stood up when he started to sing, because his presence and his voice was amazing, and some other, stars as well. But beyond that, really the connection with other players and with the audience. To me, that's really everything.
Nice.
Yeah, I mean, I feel the same way about all of that, and and I got to play in some beautiful old theaters too. I toured with a couple of Broadway shows, but yeah, I think in a way that the communal thing of being part of a community, the music community, and you could walk down the street in Manhattan. It's amazing. It's such, New York City is so huge. There's so many people, but you could walk down the street every day and meet someone I don't know how that works, but it does. And you run into, or you go on a gig and, hey, I haven't seen you, and you catch up. There's a music community, and everybody's part of that same effort. They're all fighting the good fight and trying to keep it going. So being part of something, and doing something that I love.
Nice. Well, I got a little curveball for you guys. Okay, so we are going to play Pictionary. What I'm going to do is I'm going to put a slide on the screen. It's going to be pictures. You have to look at the picture and figure out which one of your songs it is.
Oh.
All right, you ready? Here's the first one.
I know what that is.
What is it?
I'm going to guess. I'm going to say that's Road Trip.
Nope.
Overdrive. Overdrive.
Okay, there you go.
The horse is jumping over something and someone's driving a car.
Okay, very good.
All right, here's the next one.
Okay, I got this one. Old Devil Moon.
Nice.
Old Devil Moon. All right. Okay.
Oh, that's Road Trip.
That's Road Trip. That's Road Trip. All right. So we're going to listen to another set. I have You'd Be So Nice, Old Devil Moon, which we just saw, and Nostalgia from Nowhere. So tell us about that. Somebody tell us about what we're about to listen to.
Well, I'll tell you about Old Devil Moon. because that's a tune that I used to play a lot. The pianist in our group, Hiroshi Yamazaki, met him when I guess pretty soon after he got to New York at a session at a club down in Yonkers that I used to go to. And we used to play Old Devil Moon. I liked that tune and he knew I liked it. So he wrote an arrangement for us. So that's where the arrangement comes from. And it's based on a recording that J.J. Johnson did because he recorded that tune.
Okay.
So, and Nostalgia. Did you say Nostalgia?
Yes, it did.
Nostalgia from Nowhere.
Oh, that's a tune that I put together.
Combination, yeah.
Nice.
It's actually two tunes in one. It's You Came to Me from Out of Nowhere and Nostalgia. That's the main tune. And a trumpet player by the name of Fats Navarro wrote a melody for the same chord changes called Nostalgia. So that's where that came from. I used to play Nostalgia. Somebody taught that to me a long time ago based on those changes. So
Nostalgia in Times Square or something like that?
No, it's just called
Nostalgia.
Nostalgia.
That's a different one. Okay.
That's a different tune.
That's a different tune, yeah.
Yeah. And it's a head that when you play it, it's interesting. Most people don't know it, but they all know You Came to Me from Out of Nowhere. So you could play Nostalgia and people are like, oh, that's nice. I never heard that before.
And you mentioned a third tune. I can't remember what it was.
That was the third one.
The second one.
You'd Be So Nice.
You'd Be So Nice. Okay.
Old Devil Moon and Nostalgia.
You'd Be So Nice to Come Home To. It's a great old standard. Interesting story about that. I was with my wife, who is a classical singer, and we were on the way to go to the opera, the Metropolitan Opera. I like opera, but I'm not a huge opera fan. And she goes, no, you're going to love this. It's going to be great. And we went to see the Wagner opera. It was, I'm trying to remember which one it was. Well, anyway, we were on the way to go see this opera. She promised me it would be short. It wasn't. It wasn't that. So on the way driving down the west side of Manhattan, it's a West Side Highway, I'm listening to jazz radio, and the tune went on, You'd Be So Nice to Come Home To. And I started thinking about an arrangement and how I would create it. And we get to the opera, and we're sitting there, and I open up the program, and the first thing it says about the opera, it says, the longest opera ever written.
Oh, my goodness.
First paragraph. So I'm sitting going, oh, I'm going to be here for like 4 hours. Okay. And I'm not kidding. It is that long with it.
Oh, my goodness.
Yeah, no, I'm not kidding. And we actually left before the last act because I said it's 11:45 at night. We're going home. And she was fine with that. But during all those intermissions, then I kept thinking about the tune and how I would arrange it, and kind of in the style of J&K, that group I'd mentioned before, J.J. Johnson and Conway. And that's how we came up with that tune and that arrangement.
Okay. While we're listening to that, we're going to give something away. What are we giving away, Sherryl? What did you decide? We are giving away what is this, a pan holder? Pot holder. It says, home is not peace, it's a feeling. We are giving this away tonight. The question is, the trumpet is blank for large. The trombone is blank for large trumpet. Is it English, Greek, Latin, or Italian? The trumpet is blank. The trombone is blank for large trumpet. If you know the answer, put it in the comments for your chance to win. While we're listening to Slide Attack. Here we go.
What do you think? Two different tunes at the same time. Pretty good, right?
And we are back. Yes. Yes. Beautiful, 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 beautiful. They are loving it, guys.
Oh, great.
Matthew Sheridan says, thanks for this.
I know Matthew.
You know Matthew? Yeah,
Hi,
he's
Matthew.
on here. Hey, Matthew. Charlene, our stamp keeper, she wants to know, do you perform just in the New York area or do you travel?
Well, we do play mostly in the New York tri-state area, so Connecticut, New York, New Jersey. We are certainly willing to travel. If the situation is right, we would be happy to travel.
Okay. All right. Where do you see yourself in 3 years?
It's a good question. For me, pretty much doing similar to what I'm doing now, playing music, writing music, collaborating with other musicians, and continuing the good fight, as we say,
Yeah.
just keeping to play and trying to keep the music alive and spread what I love to do. And hopefully doing some teaching as well.
The same here. I'm continuing to private teach and if other opportunities, teaching opportunities come up, not full time, but part time kind of situations, I would consider that. And freelancing, I'm playing. Both of us playing lots of different groups and lots of different styles of music. So, and just to keep that all going and continue to work at my craft and get better. You never stop learning.
Yeah.
I think it was the great cellist, Pablo Casals, when he was, I think, in his 80s. Someone asked him, "You still practice every day. How come you keep practicing after a whole wonderful career?" And his answer was, "Because I think I'm starting to make progress."
Wow, nice.
That musicians never lose that feeling.
Never lose it. Yeah. Okay. What advice would you give an aspiring young trombonist?
Well, I would say especially these days, you have to be incredibly versatile. You have to be able to play all styles of music, and be open to playing all styles as well as you can. I mean, I can remember being back in school, a very famous drummer, percussionist, Bobby Rosengarten, came to our school and did a clinic at Manhattan School of Music, and he said, "I don't care what kind of music you're playing, even if you don't like it. If you're in a situation where you're playing in a wedding band or whatever you're playing, you don't ever make fun of the music. Play it as skilled and as well as you can, and respect the music." And I would say the same thing, that you've got to really do that. And you also have to have your hands in a lot of different pies. You need to also be willing to maybe be an arranger, be a writer, teach. You have to be able to do a lot of different things as a musician, especially as a freelancer, to keep, to pay the bills, to keep it all going, to support your habit of playing the trombone.
Well, I would just add to that, and to answer your question, it would depend on what you're really addressing. If you're talking about becoming a professional musician and making a living playing music, that's one thing. The great Sonny Rollins, I remember him giving a talk at a festival I was at when I was in college, and his advice was, make sure that you're ready. So you always have to be ready, because an opportunity will present itself to you, and you need to be ready, because you may only get one.
At one time, yeah.
Yeah, and that will launch what you're trying to do. But as Howard said, it's not like it was when we started out. When we started out, guys just played for a living. That's what they did. There was enough work around. You could be a good player and you could get by and make some kind of living. Today, it's way different. Things have changed a lot, and musicians are doing many different things and wearing different hats. So my advice to a young trombone player would be, whatever you choose to do, if you're trying to play trombone, is to really make sure you go to the roots of the music and don't cut corners, and make sure you really learn what it is you're trying to do and where it comes from. Because so many young people, everything's instant today. Music is not instant. And you can hear it in players that have those roots in their playing. And that's kind of what we try to do with Slide Attack when we play, is to kind of preserve all of that and to spread that, as they say, to keep it going.
Nice.
If I could add something to that,
absolutely.
On top of all of that, which is all important, but going beyond the music, these days you have no choice, but you have to be incredibly savvy with social media. You have to know how to promote yourself and have a website, and I can go on and on and on and on, but you have to be really, really, you have to know how to market yourself. That's the word I was looking for. And people are doing it, and young musicians are doing it incredibly well, much better than we are.
Technology.
They're really good at it, and it's effective.
Okay. So there may be some viewers on here that may not know what a trombone is. Is it a type of horn? Are there different types of trombones? Can we see your trombone?
Well, it's usually a brass instrument, although I will say that Alan's got a very special instrument. He has an instrument made out of a material called carbon fiber.
Show it to you.
It's this woven fiber that's super strong and incredibly light.
That thing is long.
Yeah, and they make bicycles frames out of them now, and sometimes on some high-tech cars, because it's so light and strong, they make fenders out of them. They do all kinds of things with carbon fiber, and they're finding new ways to make instruments and getting it to vibrate like brass does to get the proper sound. So if I grab so this is a brass trombone. So, and the trombones come in lots of different materials, brass, silver, an alloy in between, like rose brass or red brass, which has more copper in it. It's more of a reddish tint or a pinkish tint to it, depending on how much copper is in it. And they all vibrate differently and sound differently. And this is a tenor trombone, and some trombones have what we call a trigger or an F attachment, which is in here. You can see the horn behind me. That's a bass trombone that has two triggers. But tenor trombone, and they're made out of they're all different sizes. So there are small little trombones that are considered more commercial or jazz horns. And they're all different sizes and different materials, and they create different sounds. And there are larger bore instruments. I have one back all the way in the back there. It's a larger trombone, and it's used, more on the symphonic side of things. If you're playing in a concert band or an orchestra, although depending on the type of music that the band or the orchestra is playing, you can use different size trombones. And there are lots of different trombones. There's an alto trombone, which is a little tiny trombone that's very high pitched, and tenor trombone, bass trombone, and there's even something called a contrabass trombone, which you almost never see, which is huge.
And that's not unique. That's not unique to the trombone. All families of instruments have all these different sizes to play in the upper register, middle, lower register. But ours has the different size. Other than an alto trombone, they're all pretty much the same length and size. What's different is the width of the bore. So the wider the tubing is, the different sound.
The sound, okay.
Or bigger,
right.
Not necessarily as piercing or as
right.
Kind of straight out.
The wider the tubing, and also the bell size. The bells can be much bigger. They go anywhere from, let's say, 7 inches up to you can have a bass trombone with a 10 and a half inch bell.
Wow.
11 inch, whatever, something like that.
It's all about sound projection and the style of music that you're playing. So that things have progressed over the years and changed, like everything else.
It's almost. I remember reading an article by a legendary studio trombone player from Los Angeles, and he was saying you wouldn't play golf with one club. You would bring a whole bag of clubs, and you have different clubs for different shots. I mean, you have a putter, you're going to have a thing to chip with, a short shot, and you're going to have a driver to hit a long shot. Well, you're playing different types of music, and so you need different instruments to fit, to fit those things. So,
yeah. Would you believe our time is up? And I want to make sure I do road trip.
Okay.
So, first of all, I want to thank you both. Thank you so much for giving up your time and sharing your projects and telling us about Slide Attack. Be sure, if you all want to learn more about Slide Attack, I do have the website on the screen. If you want to know about, I wanted to ask you also about some events. You said you had something coming up. Please, I'm going to let you do that too. But check out Slide Attack. You can find out about Slide Attack, what they're doing. You can look at some of their projects. Again, it is on the screen. Thank you guys again so much. When time permits, we would love to have you come back and hang out with us again. We had such a wonderful time with you guys. So I'm going to give you an opportunity to say something if you guys want to give any last words. And then we're going to end it with Road Trip. So one of you guys kind of tell us about Road Trip as well.
Okay, well, I'll mention that since Road Trip is a tune that I wrote during the pandemic. And it was just, we were all kind of sequestered, and in my mind and everybody's mind, we were all kind of going a bit nuts. So I wanted to write something that would be fun and enjoyable and kind of transport us to a better place when we could actually get out again and move around. So that's where the idea for that tune came from. And I think it was one of my successes.
And it's a CD called Road Trip, and so that's the title song.
Okay.
It's a CD which is available. You could stream it on all platforms. We do have music out there. We have a few CDs. You can find it on all platforms. You can also purchase a physical CD through bandcamp.com. That's slideattack.bandcamp.com. You can also find links to all of this on our website. So slideattack.com, and you can send us an email if you want to contact us, and just, that's fine. We'd love to hear from you. That's about it.
Okay. All right. Well, thank you again, Alan, Howard, and Alan. You guys, thank you so much for hanging out with FNL. Be sure to turn in next week. We have another amazing artist that will be here. Have a wonderful weekend. We're going to end it with Slide Attack. All right. And you all be safe out there. Say bye, guys. We get ready to go.
Bye-bye. Thank you so much.
Absolutely. I was so excited about the music, I forgot to give the the winner to the trivia. So the question was, trombone is blank for large trumpet, and the choices was English, Greek, Latin, or Italian. You guys want to answer the question?
Italian.
It is Italian. Who is the winner?
Errolsine Gerald.
Errolsine Gerald, you won. Congratulations. We will get that to you. And then Alan said he saw a question pop up asking if we have played in an orchestra. The answer is yes. We both have many times. I really enjoy playing with a symphony orchestra. All right. I think I got everything now, guys. All right. Have a great weekend.
Thank you so much. It's a pleasure to meet you and to do this with you.
Absolutely. This was so much fun. You guys have got to come back.
Oh, we'd love to.
Yeah,
all right.
Definitely.
We're out of here. We are out of here.
Bye.